You guys have probably noticed the beautiful textures and shapes and colors of living things, of all of the different animals and insects in our world, large and small. And did you wonder, how were they created to be so perfect? Is this art or is this science? Well, I think it's a little bit of both. So let's have fun this week and think about art and science. I'm Renee Williams, and I'm an artist in Laramie, Wyoming. Welcome to my greenhouse and my studio. So this week, we're just going to learn about exploring things a different way through discovery, and hopefully you're going to experience a few things you've never done before. Suminagashi is a very old traditional Japanese painting technique. Rings are formed. You start in the middle and go, and the rings push out. So I wanted to give you some visuals of what we will be creating with Suminagashi. So these are some that you will see later in different videos where we used different materials to create negative space. What I'm going to show you now is where you pick two colors that can be contrasting or just two colors that you like, and I will show you some methods for creating and painting on the water. So a few things I want you to remember. There are really no rules. I'm going to demonstrate some of the techniques that we like and that we use here at the studio, but I also want you to experiment with your own way. We've learned a lot from other people. So the water will move every now and then, naturally, and that will create a different design with the paint. So think about that and just take your time. This isn't an intentional way to create art. This is a way for science to create art for you. So hey, no stress. Let science do the work for you. These are just some examples of different colors you can use. So start out with just two different colors. I've chosen for right now blue and orange. And if you look on the color wheel, blue is across from orange. That means they're complementary. That means that they have the most contrast. So we should come up with some very bright, vibrant colors that we can see easily separated. And so I'm going to put my brushes perpendicular. I'm going to point straight down to the middle of the water. And so I've dipped one brush for orange and one brush for blue. And I'm going to barely touch the top of the water. You may have seen this orange expand. There's the blue. Now the more times I add paint to the top of the water, the more vibrant the colors are going to be, right? That probably makes sense, because you know when you paint a picture, if you paint 2 or 3 layers, it's going to be more bright. Well, it's a similar idea here, but we're painting on the water. Now this takes some practice. The most important things to remember is when you put paint, sorry for my messy palette, but when you add your paint, you're only going to add maybe 5 drops of each color, because you hardly use any paint to create your work. 1 brush for each color. That's why we start out with 2 colors. So later you can get crazy and start mixing, and kind of at the end of the day, it's kind of fun to just start mixing your colors a little bit. But for right now, we are just starting out, so we're going to use 2 colors, and this is the traditional Suminagashi, which is a circle and a circle, and they just keep expanding, keep expanding. And actually, this is more about experiencing relaxation and creating something beautiful. It's almost the best part is this part right here. So just keep going. You can go on and on and on. The Suminagashi masters, they use a huge vat of water, and they would do this hundreds of times, if not thousands of times. So the inner circle is round. See how the outside is starting to move? Probably because as I talk, my breath pushes. So you just play, and during this week, we have quite a few videos, and we have more on our YouTube channel that you can check out that just provide ideas for different ways to create. But just have fun. Remember, there's no rule. The main thing is don't dip your brush all the way in the water. You barely want it to touch the top. Barely want it. And you don't want your brush to lay flat this way. Point it so that when your paint touches the water, it makes one little dot. If you lay your brush on the side, it won't create a dot. It'll create a line, which is fine. You should experiment with that and see what happens. That's how I learned. So that's beautiful. Okay, I'm going to put my paint brushes down, and I am going to grab some of my Japanese paper. Now, you guys in your kit have a lot of paper. It doesn't look like you have much paint. People always expect a lot of paint, but it lasts a long time. I put down 5 drops of paint. I've already got a whole painting here, and I've got enough for 2 or 3 more paintings. So now you select where you want to print. Whatever's on top of the water is what's going to print, and you're going to kind of give it a little bit of a curve like that. Okay, now it's curved. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3. I'm going to let go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. It's going to land in the middle first and go out. That gets rid of the air bubbles. Now your painting captured. You can rinse it a few times. Just be very aware that this paper is very fragile when it's wet. So you have to it takes a little practice handling it. Look how great that turned out. Whoops, I'm trying to get used to I'll show you some of these dry. All right, so that's how you make the circular traditional Suminagashi. All right, I'm going to show you another technique, and then I want you guys just to start having fun. You'll learn more and more this week through all of the other videos. We're going to learn about fluid dynamics, and we're going to learn more about how does this work. I want you guys to be thinking, how does the paint sit on the water? So with traditional Suminagashi techniques, they use sumi paint, which is kind of like an ink, and a very vibrant black, usually, ink. And then they added to that pine resin, which comes from pine trees, and it gives the ink a very light lightness to it so that it will sit on top of the water. We're going to talk a little bit more about fluid dynamics and do a few experiments later. But for today, I just want you guys to have fun with your paints and enjoy getting the feel for how this works. And you're going to be creating some beautiful artwork today that we can use later when we make our books and cards. And of course, you can use your artwork for whatever you like. Now I'm going to put a circle over here. I don't have to always put it in the middle. Look what happens. It pushes out. Let me see if I can focus in a little bit more. Okay. Let's see if I can do that again. Let's do one over here. Let's do one here. Now the longer I hold my brush in the water, the bigger my circle goes usually. And some colors expand differently than other colors, which is kind of interesting. All right, that's kind of pretty. Very pretty. Okay, I'm going to make sure my hands are dry when I pick up my Japanese paper. Because if you get your Japanese paper wet anywhere, it won't print on that spot, okay? Not until it dries. So let's see, I think I'll turn it, I don't know, it's also pretty. 1, 2, 3. Very pretty. Now you're gonna, after you print, actually I should tell you that before you create any artwork, lay a newspaper down or some cardboard or something so that you have a place to dry your work. It doesn't take long, but you do need to have that ready. That turned out very nice. If I could get rid of the glare. Isn't that pretty? You guys can just do whatever you want. There are no rules. Okay? There's no example. I'm not telling you what to do. You are going to do it yourself. Okay, so that is it. Now you guys have fun and enjoy playing today. bye.